Most men never figure this out. If you want a woman to miss you, chasing her will never work. In fact, the more you try to get her attention, the more she mentally tunes you out. It sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Women don't miss presence, they miss absence. But not just any kind of absence. It has to be intentional, powerful, and loaded with silent confidence. That's what sticks in her mind. Welcome to the channel. If you've ever found yourself wondering why that woman you liked barely noticed when you stopped calling, or worse, seemed relieved, you're not alone. Most men are wired to believe that effort equals reward in relationships. But when it comes to attraction, effort can backfire if it's misdirected. If a woman isn't interested, pushing harder won't make her feel anything for you, except maybe pressure or discomfort. So here's what this video is going to break down: how to make a woman genuinely miss you, even if right now she seems completely disinterested. This isn't about manipulation or gimmicks. It's about understanding what emotionally sticks with women. It's about showing up in a way that makes her curious, unsettled, and wondering where your attention went. We're going to go deep into mindset, behavior, and strategy. How do you hold your frame when a woman pulls away? How do you shift the emotional dynamic without saying a word? How do you make her question what she lost, even if she didn't want you in the first place? If you're tired of being overlooked, or you're done with one-sided effort, stay with me. What I'm about to share will flip the entire game in your favor. No more overthinking, no more chasing. Let's teach her how it feels when you're the one who's missing from her world. Silence is louder than words. Here's the truth that most men overlook. Your silence has more power than any text, call, or long message ever will. When a woman isn't interested or seems distant, your first instinct might be to reach out, explain yourself, try to fix the energy. That's emotional panic. That's fear talking. And that fear kills attraction. But when you go silent, not in a petty or manipulative way, but in a calm, confident, centered way, you create space. That space forces her to feel something. And if you hold that silence long enough, she'll feel the weight of your absence. Understand this. Women are emotional processors. They need time and contrast to realize what they're missing. But if you're constantly showing up, constantly explaining, constantly reacting, she doesn't get that contrast. You've made yourself predictable, and predictable is forgettable. Now, here's what happens when you stop talking, especially when she expects you to still chase her. First, she notices, then she questions it, then she starts to wonder, why isn't he reaching out? And that question is exactly what you want. Curiosity is emotional engagement. That's where missing you begins. She may not reach out right away, she may try to stay indifferent, but the silence works on her. It's psychological pressure without force. It lingers. But here's where most men mess it up. They go silent for 3 days, then crack. They send a message just to check in. And that ruins everything. The silence has to be complete. No likes on her post. No accidental replies. No happy birthday texts. You don't exist in her world for a while. That doesn't mean you're sitting around waiting. It means you're building yourself, staying focused, and giving her a chance to notice the gap you left. And trust this. She'll notice even if she doesn't say it, even if she's seeing someone else, even if she told you she's done. Women feel energy shifts deeply when your attention disappears. It triggers something uncomfortable. That discomfort is what creates a reason for her to start remembering you, missing you, questioning herself, wondering if she judged you too fast or if she underestimated your value. That's when your silence starts to win. Stop acting available all the time. If you're always available, she'll never value your presence. It's that simple. Being too easy to access is one of the fastest ways to become invisible in her mind, especially when she's not fully invested in you yet. A woman doesn't miss what she can always get. And the biggest mistake men make is confusing availability with loyalty. They think if I just show her I'm always here, she'll appreciate me. No, she'll get used to you. She'll take you for granted. And once that happens, her attraction drops. Women are drawn to men who seem like they have something more important going on. That doesn't mean you ignore her or act rude. It means you stop making her the center of your daily life, especially when she hasn't earned that level of energy. You don't jump on every text. You don't clear your schedule. Every time she wants to talk, you let her wonder a little. You let her ask herself, where is he? What's he doing? That curiosity, that's where her interest builds. You have to retrain your mindset. You're not here to prove your worth. You're here to live a full life that draws her into your world, not one that wraps itself around hers. When you show a woman that you're not constantly available, you send a message without saying a word. I have value. My time matters, and I don't need to chase anyone to prove that. And that energy, quiet confidence, controlled attention is powerful. It forces her to rethink her perception of you. If she thought you were always going to orbit around her, pulling back disrupts that narrative. It makes her question her own importance in your world, and whether she's aware of it or not, that triggers the desire to pull you back in. Most men fail here because they're scared that if they don't respond quickly, she'll move on. But think about it. If someone walks away just because you didn't reply fast enough, they were never serious in the first place. A woman who's genuinely intrigued by you won't vanish just because you didn't jump to text her at midnight. But she will lose interest if you're always too eager, too accessible, too easy. You want to be present, not predictable. That difference changes everything. Predictable attention is boring. Selective attention is addictive. Let her feel your absence. You want her to miss you, then give her space to feel that you're gone. This is one of the most overlooked tactics men ignore. They assume silence or stepping back is enough. But it's not just about going quiet. It's about making sure that your silence carries weight. Your absence needs to leave an emotional gap, a pause she can't ignore. Because when a man who brought presence, attention, and emotional energy suddenly disappears, that shift echoes in a woman's mind. The problem is, most men don't give it enough time. They pull back for a few days, then rush back in when she doesn't immediately react. And that's exactly what kills your power. When you constantly check in or break the silence out of anxiety, you reset the game. You teach her that you don't have the patience to stay in control. You show her that your confidence was fake, and that you're still waiting for her permission to feel secure. Letting her feel your absence means you trust your value enough to not chase her. It means you're not going to remind her you exist every few hours. You're not going to like her stories, comment on her posts, or randomly send her a just checking in text. That's noise. That's a man who's scared she's forgetting him. Real confidence is silent. It doesn't announce itself. It lets the other person feel the contrast. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first, but here's what you need to understand. Women notice shifts and attention deeply when a man who was once consistent suddenly disappears. She doesn't just shrug, she starts thinking. She wonders why you pulled back. She questions if you've moved on. She replaces her interactions with you, and now, for the first time, you're on her mind without doing anything. You flip the script. Absence isn't just about physical silence. It's emotional withdrawal too. Stop giving her access to your energy. That includes your online attention, your support, your validation. Don't be cold, just be out of reach. Don't make a scene. Don't announce it. Just go quiet and let her come face to face with what life feels like without your presence. Because if there was any genuine interest, she'll feel the gap. And if she doesn't, then you now know where you truly stand, and you saved yourself from wasting more energy on someone who was never really in. Silence is louder than words, and when you're the man who can disappear without fear, that's when she starts realizing she doesn't want to lose you. Control your emotional availability. One of the biggest mistakes men make when trying to get a woman to miss them is giving her full emotional access, even when she's showing half-hearted interest. You can't let someone sit at the table of your heart and eat for free. If she's not investing emotionally, mentally, or physically, you've got to control how much of you she gets. This doesn't mean being cold. It means being intentional. When you're always emotionally available, responding fast, sharing your feelings, making yourself constantly open, she doesn't have the space to miss you. She doesn't have the urge to wonder about you. She doesn't need to ask herself where you stand, because you're already giving everything away. Here's the truth. Mystery builds attraction, And when you're always emotionally wide open, there's no mystery, there's no tension, no curiosity. She knows how you feel, she knows you'll be there, and she knows she doesn't have to work for your attention because you're giving it out like it cost nothing. Men who are selective with their emotional energy naturally create pull. They're not cold, they're grounded. They're not needy, they're intentional. And women pick up on that fast. So if you want her to feel your absence, stop giving her free access to your mind, heart, and time. Start treating your attention like currency and only invest it where it grows in value. Here's how that looks in action. You don't reply immediately every time she texts. You don't open up deeply when she hasn't shown real effort. You don't initiate conversation when she's acting distant. You don't explain your silence unless she earns it. You're calm, you're grounded, and you only go deep when she meets you on that level. That's how a man holds value. That's how you shift the dynamic. She's no longer sure if she's still on your radar. She can't tell if you're still emotionally hooked. And that creates space for her to start reaching out more. This is how you create contrast. Most men either chase too much or shut down completely. You don't want either. You want to stay warm but distant, confident but calm. You're not cold. You're just not available on demand, and that makes her take notice. Here's the bottom line. You want her to miss what she can't easily reach. Emotional availability should be earned, not handed out, just because you're hoping she notices you. The moment you master this, everything shifts. Stop trying to prove yourself. Here's something most men don't realize until it's too late. The more you try to prove yourself to a woman, the less she values you. Sounds harsh, but it's true. Women don't fall for men who beg for their attention. They fall for men who move like they already have value. Because they do. You don't need to prove that you're good enough, loyal enough, successful enough, or worthy of her attention. The moment you start trying to convince her, you automatically put yourself beneath her. That's when she mentally checks out. Let me break this down clearly. When a man tries to prove himself, what he's really saying is, I don't believe I'm enough unless you say I am. That energy repels a woman's attraction instantly. Why? Because she doesn't want to be your validation. She wants to witness your confidence. You want her to miss you? Then stop campaigning for her approval. You're not a politician. You're a man. And your value doesn't depend on whether or not she sees it. It depends on whether or not you believe in it. This is the shift. Instead of chasing her attention, protect your peace. Instead of over-explaining yourself, stay quiet and grounded. Instead of asking what you did wrong, step back and observe if she even deserves access to your world again. If she left, that was her choice. You don't need to beg her to see your worth. If she doesn't already know, she's not for you, or at least not ready for the version of you that's growing. This is where most men mess up. They come back with their hearts in their hands, asking, what can I do better? When what they should be saying is, I've learned a lot about myself, and I don't chase what doesn't recognize value. Let her wonder why you stopped proving yourself. Let her notice the shift. Women feel it deeply when a man no longer moves from insecurity. They feel it when he stops trying to please and starts living with purpose. That's when her respect starts to rise again. That's when missing you becomes her internal dilemma, not your emotional burden. You're not trying to show her anything anymore. You're just living. You're building your focus, and that's attractive as hell. A man who stops trying to prove himself becomes a magnet. He speaks less, moves smarter, and acts like his time and energy are sacred. Because they are. The moment you stop trying to prove, you give her something to feel curious about. She'll wonder what changed. She'll ask herself if she lost her grip. She'll feel the void where your effort used to be. And that's where missing you begins. Let her sit with the silence. Here's a truth that hits harder than most men expect. Silence speaks louder than effort when it comes to impact. If you want a woman to feel your absence, to question her choices, to genuinely start missing you, You need to stop filling every gap with words, explanations, or emotional noise. Silence is power, and most men are afraid of it. They think if they're not texting, checking in, or posting something, she might see, they'll be forgotten. But the reality is, silence forces a woman to hear her own thoughts. It gives her space to reflect without your energy clouding her perception. And if there's still any emotional attachment left, your silence will trigger it faster than your words ever could. Now, here's what silence is not. It's not passive-aggressive. It's not cold or manipulative. It's not a tactic where you secretly hope she breaks down and calls you crying. Silence isn't for her. It's for you. It's the discipline to stop explaining, the maturity to stop reacting, the strength to protect your emotional space. Most men blow their own mystery the moment she pulls back. They panic. They start asking questions, overanalyzing, double texting. All of that reveals a lack of control. And trust me, she notices. But when you embrace silence, you're telling her without saying a word, I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to chase. I've got myself. Let her sit with that. Let her wonder what you're doing. Let her notice the difference in your energy. The absence of noise from you will create a loud conversation in her own head. That's what makes her miss you. Every woman has a moment late at night or in her quiet hours where she reflects. If you've been silent, truly silent, you will cross her mind. She'll scroll back through texts. She'll check your page. She'll wonder why you're so calm, so pulled back, so focused on something other than her. And if there was ever any spark, any attraction, any bond, your silence brings it back into the light. Not because you chased it, but because you didn't. Now, don't mistake silence for sitting still. While she's sitting with the silence, you need to be moving, building, evolving. Nothing is more powerful than a man who disappears to work on himself. That's when she doesn't just miss the old version of you, she starts fearing that someone else might get the new version. Let her sit with the silence. Let her feel the absence. No closure, no explanations. Just you, quiet, and unbothered. That's when she starts to ask questions. And if you've handled your silence with strength, the only answer she'll be left with is, I messed up. 7. Let her regret losing hers, where it all comes full circle. When she starts to realize what she had after, she's already lost it. This doesn't happen by chance. It's not about hoping she wakes up one day and regrets letting you go. You have to become the man that forces her to feel that regret without saying a word. Here's the truth. Women don't regret losing someone who stayed stagnant, stayed emotional, stayed easy to get. They regret losing the man who leveled up once she left. The man who didn't beg, who didn't lash out, who didn't collapse. The man who became better, stronger, more composed. The version of you that stayed still. She thought she knew him. That's why she walked away. But when she sees that you've changed, not out of pain, but out of purpose, that's when it hits her and regret. It doesn't start when you text her, doing better now. Regret creeps in when she sees that you're living better now without her. She notices the difference in your energy, your appearance, your confidence, the way other people, especially other women, are reacting to you. You've become that man, the one she always wanted you to be, but now, you don't need her to see it. That stings. Now, let's get something clear. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making her feel bad. This is about taking your power back. About recognizing that you are the prize, and that losing you has consequences. When she feels that shift, that emotional gap between the man she left and the man you are now, she won't just miss you. She'll regret letting you go. She'll replay moments. She'll rethink decisions. She'll wonder if she misjudged you. And that question will keep echoing in her head. Did I give up too soon? And you don't need to answer that. Because if you've done the work, your existence answers it loud and clear. Here's what men don't realize. Growth in silence is louder than any apology, louder than any second chance. When you start glowing differently, when your path is no longer centered around her, that's when she feels the weight of her choices. She might come back. She might try to reconnect. But by then, you'll be in control. You'll be the one who decides if she still fits into your life, and not the other way around. And that power shift is what truly makes her regret losing you. Here's the truth most men avoid. If a woman never misses you after leaving, you didn't leave an impact. And that says everything. That might sting a little, but it's necessary. Because the moment you stop chasing and start building yourself up, everything changes. She starts to notice. She starts to remember. She starts to feel something again. Because you became the kind of man she doesn't forget. Most guys think no contact is just silence, but it's not. It's a phase of transformation. It's your chance to shift the dynamic, reclaim your power, and let time and space do their part. You're not doing it to get her back. You're doing it to get yourself back. And if she does come back, you won't be the same man she left. You'll be stronger, more grounded, and clearer about who you are and what you deserve. That's when she'll miss you the most. Not just because she lost you, but because she realizes you're no longer available at the level she left you. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you been through this? Did she come back? Are you in the middle of that silence right now? Drop your story in the comments. I read them and I respond. We're building something real here. A space where men finally get the clarity they need to stop chasing and start choosing. Because once you understand your value, the game changes and she'll feel it every single time.